everybody, Vince August here. It is Sunday, February 6th, and I'm going to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to pre-record it so I make sure the sound and the video are synced. The last one, it did not sync. It was a little bit of a disaster. I don't like doing crap work. So I'm going to pre-record this. Plus, I was talking to a producer and a director that are big in the business, and they said the only reason to really go live for any of this stuff is if you're reporting from somewhere live, or you have something that's, a news flash and you're there on the scene. Just pre-record them, make sure that the quality is good, and roll from there. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay. Topics this week. Apologies. It seems to be where we're going. And the funny thing is, so Whoopi Goldberg apologized, Joe Rogan apologized, and it's funny because when people apologize, it's the same reaction every time. If you like the person, you accept the apology. If you don't like the person, you don't accept the apology. So really what it seems to be is when people are apologizing, they're apologizing to their listeners. So the only people that Whoopi really is apologizing to is her own listeners. And they're all like, Whoopi, you don't need to apologize. We're fine with what you said. And we know you're not racist. So what's the big deal? Same thing with Joe Rogan. He apologizes and Joe's fans are like, dude, don't apologize. They're making you apologize. Be strong. Tell them to screw off and this and that. Look, everybody should start to learn how to apologize, because I think the apology will start doing away with the misinformation that everybody is so worried about out there. And the weird thing with the misinformation that everyone is so worried about out there is there's a truth. All you have to do is look for the truth, but people are too lazy to look for the truth. What they want is give me the information and I'm going to believe my information. You believe your information. And then everyone yells at each other. That's misinformation. But that's all. I'm going to digress to that later. So that's the weird thing about these apologies is, well, who's accepting them and who's rejecting them and what's the point of them? And my thing is, the point of them is if everyone apologizes for all the mistakes, then what starts to happen is we start owning up to the mistakes. But it seems to be we're in this weird place where nobody wants to do that. And nobody wants to say, hey, look, we screwed up. And this goes back a long way. This goes all the way back to, we can go way, way back, but let's keep it as current as possible. Weapons of mass destruction. Our government never came clean with the war in Iraq and said, look, we botched that. Okay. The information that was presented was clearly wrong. We went into a situation that we thought there was something there that wasn't, which I don't believe that. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's actually a cover up. Just own up to the mistakes and we can start doing it. And we could do that with a lot of things. We could do that with Syria. We could do that with everything having to do with this pandemic for the last 2 years, with regards to the mask, with regards to this. Look, because even Fauci, when he gets called out on things, he said, well, the reason I said that there, no, just say, look, you know what? Hey, I was wrong about that. And I was wrong about that because, look, this thing is new. We were learning about it. And now we have more information about it. So, yeah, you know what? At that time, looking back, yeah, I was wrong, as opposed to, no, I was right then. And I'm also right now. And I'm not going to apologize for anything. Same thing with we saw with Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, the governor, where he was just like, you know what? No, I did what I was doing because that's what the administration in D.C. was telling us. Stop with it all. It's all ridiculous. Second thing, with regards to all of this stuff with getting rid of people and replacing people and then everything else. Here's the thing with that. Okay. You have to understand, if you get rid of Whoopi Goldberg off The View, what do you think she's going to get replaced with? Somebody that you like? People that want Whoopi Goldberg canceled and off The View? No. You're going to get another version of Whoopi Goldberg. And I say this to people that are on the left that want like Tucker Carlson off the air. Do you remember what was there before Tucker Carlson? It was Bill O'Reilly. What do you think the next person's going to be? Somebody that you like? So the weird thing is the people that want the people canceled aren't the people that actually watch the show. It's people that don't watch the show, that disagree with it even though they don't watch it, and say, we just don't want to hear from that person. But more than that, because they're not actually hearing that from that person, we don't want anyone else to hear from the person, especially the people that like the person. We want you to hear from the person we want you to hear from, which is the person I listen to. Think about how circularly stupid that whole argument is. So basically, the people that listen to Tucker Carlson, the people that listen to Joe Rogan, people that listen to Whoopi Goldberg, Bill Maher, I don't care who it is. If you disagree with that point of view, what you want is those people to stop listening to that person and listen to the person you agree with, because you want them to be what? In agreement with you? You're not going to agree. You're going to disagree. That's the whole point. Is people, look, I listen to this person, you listen to that person. Now, there are some of us that try to listen to as many people as possible. This way you understand both sides of the argument, and you say, okay, well, look, this is your position, this is your position. Now that I look at the two positions, truth of the matter is, you're not as far as apart as you think, but you're so entrenched in what you disagree with that you're not going to give an inch on what you actually agree with. So I think that's part of the disconnect in what happens with why we're as separated and why we're as fractured as we are as a country. So that's just my take on what's going on with the social media. And here's another thing, by the way. If you're really that worked up over Joe Rogan, over Whoopi Goldberg, over, I don't care who the person is, if what they're doing on their podcast has you more worked up and has you tweeting and getting angrier than you were when, I don't know, we drone struck a missionary who was gathering water for people in Afghanistan, and he and 9 kids got killed. If you consider the fact that Joe Rogan's getting more attention, Whoopi Goldberg's getting more attention, Jeff Zucker is getting more attention than that missile drone strike, and you're less upset about that, and you're like, who gives a shit? 9 kids and a missionary got killed in a drone strike for someone that we should have never, bombed. If that has you more upset, the actual loss of life has you less upset than a dude on a podcast that you're not listening to, maybe you kind of need to reassess where you are as a person too, and what's really getting you going, and what your mission statement is in life as to what you're going to go on social media and get into a war with every day on people. Next topic. Speaking of war every day on people, we can see what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia. And I look at this. This is just the biggest complete mess, because here's the United States saying to Russia, hey, look, and the rest of the world, basically, look, our soldiers are not going to engage with Russian soldiers. That's not happening. Okay, so Russia, just know right up front, our soldiers and your soldiers are not going to war. But here's a whole bunch of shit to help out Ukraine in case you want to go to war with them. But we're going to stay out of it. And Ukraine, just so you know, we're not going to help you fight this war. But here's a whole bunch of shit to help you fight the war. And then Ukraine is like, okay, so you guys aren't going to help Russia? No. You're not going to buy any more oil from Russia? Well, no. We're still we're energy dependent on Russia now. So yeah, we're going to keep buying oil from them, which is our major supplier of oil right now. Okay, but you realize that money in turn gives them the financial support to fight us. But you're saying you're staying out of it. No, we're staying out of it. Look, we're staying out of it in a way that we're not going to fight the war. Okay, we're going to get involved with it by saying, hey, look, everyone calm down while we give Ukraine weapons and buy oil from Russia. Everyone what are we doing here? And the weird thing is, well, you have to understand the reason we have soldiers in the United States, 30 to 50,000 soldiers in Germany, soldiers in Romania and around, those are NATO nations. And we have a solemn duty to protect NATO nations. Ukraine, you're not a NATO nation. So we can't do that for you directly, but here's all the weapons and ammunitions. And Russia's saying, but whoa, hold on a second. You're trying to make them a NATO nation. That's part of the problem we have with this. You're surrounding us with all these NATO nations. So Poland's a NATO nation. So in a sense, you're saying, well, we can't support you because you're a NATO nation, but we want to make you a NATO nation so then we can support. Do you understand how big of a mess this thing is? And here we are telling Russia, listen, be good. The same week, we helped Saudi Arabia bomb Yemen, but it was probably only a minor incursion. And we don't care about minor incursions, right? That's what our president said. And people say, yeah, but Vin, you know what? That's bullshit because we took out an ISIS leader. Okay, so this time we actually took out an ISIS leader and we hit the ISIS leader, not like when we killed the missionary and the 9 kids. Look, man, all of this war stuff is bullshit. And this is part of my problem, too, with the Democrat and Republican thing, that all you guys love to take your sides. When I grew up, part of the great part of looking at Democrats and why I like Democrats is they were anti-war. Now, where's that line? Nancy Pelosi's like, we need $750 billion to help Ukraine fight this war against Russia. What? What happened here? Where did the Democrats all of a sudden become pro-war? Okay. And even with everything else that's happened in this country with pharmaceuticals and the stock market and corporate, you mean to tell me this is the same Democratic Party it was when I grew up in the 80s? It's not. It's not. And the same thing back and forth with the Republicans. The Republicans were the ones that were looking to burn books back in the day. Now they're all about free speech. And that, circle back to the days of Jim Crow, circle back to the days of Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican fighting the slave movement in the South. That was Democrats. So, your allegiance and your alliance to these parties is ridiculous because they keep changing what their positions are. So before you dedicate yourself to a party and a position and align yourself completely with that position, just realize they are going to sell out whatever their position is based on their financial interest. And you know what their financial interests are not? You and me, schmucko at home, just trying to make a living. Other stuff going on in the news. The Michael Avenatti trial ended in New York. I covered this in the last video. Wow. Look at the way this thing turned out. Okay, so here's how it starts. It starts, everybody hates Donald Trump. Donald Trump became president. We got to take down Donald Trump. Russiagate turned out to be a dud. So everything and anything we can throw at Donald Trump, let's throw it. So what happened? Stormy Daniels, hey, you know what? I got paid hush money, $130,000, and I signed an NDA. You know what? I have information to go after Donald Trump. So what does she do? She tries to break her NDA. Okay, so there's the first mistake. See, if you have an NDA, just honor the thing. You signed it, you took your payday, you signed your NDA, go away. That's what it is, okay? You got a payday, sign an NDA, go away. That should be the rule. No, instead, because everybody was so gangbusters on getting Trump, it was, I'm going to jump on the get Trump train to raise my stock. And then what happens? This guy, Michael Avenatti, comes in the mix. And man, does he become a media darling overnight. He's on CNN, MSN. He's on all the left-leaning media, corporate media. Just they're darling. People want him to run for president. He's gorgeous. He's sexy. He's this. Why? Because he hates Donald Trump. And listen, I don't care if you hate Donald Trump. You know what? Donald Trump eventually got taken out. You know when? It was called an election. So there's that. Okay. So what happens? Getting back to this trial. So Stormy Daniels hires Michael Avenatti. We're going to go after Trump. Trump. So what do? They sue Donald Trump. She tries to get out of her NDA. She not only loses the case, she now owes Donald Trump attorney's fees, I don't know, $300,000, somewhere in that ballpark. You can always fact check me. Tell me if I'm wrong on the amount. Roughly that amount. Okay. So she got paid $130, and now the money that she got paid, she owes at least double back to Trump, double plus potentially. Okay. She now signs this deal with the devil, which is Michael Avenatti. Turns out he starts screwing her, not the way Trump did, just financially starts screwing her, and basically starts taking some of the money from her book deal. I think it was $300,000. Go figure. So now, here, follow the storyline. She gets paid $130. She winds up owing about $300 to Trump. Avenatti, who's helping her to try to get a bigger payday, now swindles $300,000 from her. So now she's out $600,000 from the original $130,000 So she got paid 130. She's now looking at a $470,000 deficit, but she goes after this guy who she sues and wins to get back her 300 grand. So she's still in the hole. Avenatti's going to jail, which is a whole other hole. And in the end, Trump got voted out of office anyway. So after all of that, what is the message? The message is, listen, when everybody wanted to go after Trump, they wanted to throw everything and everybody after him. And then Russiagate failed. This thing failed. So many of these attacks that everyone was missing the point of, look, if he's as bad as all of the things he was saying and doing, actually get him on the bad shit he was saying and doing and not go after him with just this shotgun approach of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, because his supporters now are standing there going, look, remember this one? Look, remember that one? And people forget the bad shit he actually did. Now, most of what he did was he didn't know how to shut his fucking mouth, this guy. And that's the ego that gets in his way. Look, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I don't want to see him in 2024. I want to move forward. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see Hillary. And apparently none of the Democrats want to see Joe and Kamala. And that's the now. And they want to move forward already away from these people. Again, you're aligning yourself with people that don't give a shit about you. Okay? The person who gives a shit about you, or you should give a shit about most, is a person that when you walk out your front door, they live to the right of you, the left of you, or maybe if you're in an apartment, they live upstairs, downstairs. Those are the people you should be spending the most time caring, because you know what? If you ever are in a situation that requires immediate attention, those are the people that are going to be there to help you. Okay? Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Michael Avenatti, Joe Rogan, none of these people are going to be there to help you. Okay? So again, people, just think, man, haven't we been through enough for 2 years that you guys are fighting over celebrities and Joe Rogan got paid $100 million from Spotify. Both sides of the argument. You think he gives a shit about you? Whoopi Goldberg, again, probably not thinking about any of you right now. Another weird thing that happened. Okay, so The Rock came out and gave support to Joe Rogan originally when this whole thing was going down. Okay, so Neil Young is like, pull my money. Pull my music off of Spotify. But he sold his catalog to Blackstone, who already paid him $150 million. So this dude who's in the twilight of his career has got $150 million, probably $150 million more than what he needs. His music is on Amazon, who also won't let their employees form a union. So really, what you went from Spotify, where they have Joe Rogan, and you're on Amazon, which has Bezos and refuses his employees the ability to form a union for a better workplace environment. Who are you bullshitting, Neil Young? I mean, there's another one. Look, if you're going to really take these stances like The Rock did and say, look, I support Joe Rogan, then what happens? All right, so now they started leaking a whole bunch of stuff where Rogan was saying the N-word all over the place. And he comes out and says, look, man, not a good look. I apologize again for all of the stuff I said way back when. The Rock sees that and says, hey, look, you know what? I screwed up. I gave my support to Rogan, and I'm going to withdraw that support to Rogan. Well, all right, so here's the thing that I would like to ask The Rock. When you gave Joe your support, were you giving it to Joe the person because you knew him as a person and you're like, look, this guy isn't the things he's saying? Or were you giving your support to the First Amendment part of Joe Rogan, which is, look, the guy's on a company that came to him. He was on YouTube. He was doing his thing. He can go to God knows how many streaming services. He can just do it himself on his own, and people are going to follow him if they want to follow him. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to talk to Joe and support him as the First Amendment Joe and not the person Joe. Or it could have been a little bit of both. The thing is, when you withdraw your support, what are you saying then? Are you withdrawing your support from Joe, the person, saying, look, you know what? I didn't realize this dude was throwing the N-word around all those years ago like this. The question that follows up was, well, Rock, did you know him? Did you meet him? Did he come off as racist to you? Do you think he's a racist? So when he was saying those things, were those things racist and you just missed them? Or now are you kind of catching up on them? So, so what is it about the person? Did you know him, not know him, and were you supporting the person? If you were supporting the person and you misjudge him as a person, that's fine. I'm cool with that. If you knew him as a person, you're like, nah, that's not who that guy is, and you're withdrawing your support, well, then why don't you just say, look, I've seen the videos too. They look bad, but that's not who that guy is. Much like Al Franken just did with Whoopi Goldberg, who was like, look, I know her. She's not that person. Okay, fine. I'm good with all of that. If you were withdrawing your support from Joe Rogan, the First Amendment Joe Rogan, well, wait a minute. So at what point does your loyalty stop and go with the First Amendment? See, that's the weird thing with giving somebody your support and withdrawing your support. It's what is it about the person? Is it about, that was a weird thing that he did. I was kind of like, what? I don't get it. Okay. Finally, I put up a post this week, and here's my position again. Okay. So I'm going to make it clear for everybody. Very simple. I know that there are people that follow me. People are going to watch this video that are going to just look to trash me. Okay, look, if you don't support me, if you don't like me as a person, and you just want to come here to trash me and say, I'm not interesting, I'm not smart, I'm stupid, and name call, I'm going to block you, I'm going to delete you, because that's not engaging with me in a way that's actually, we're going to get anywhere, where you're going to show me how I'm wrong, or maybe I can show you how maybe you're wrong, or we can say, look, I'm not trying to convince you who's right or who's wrong. This is just my position, and I can be like, I respect that. Okay, so if you're just going to come here and trust me, I'm going to block you. I don't care, because that's not a discourse. Okay, if you're just here to support me, that's great. I appreciate it. If you're here and you disagree with me, but you're like, you know what, Vin, I disagree with you. I'm not feeling your position, but at least I kind of understand what you're saying. We're going to get along great, because then you know what? That's the way I treat people too. And you could show me some things that I don't understand. But with regards to information and misinformation, I don't think I'm putting out any facts right now. Just I think I'm putting out opinions. Here's the thing with that, and I've said it before. The truth is out there. You can always do your own research and get to the truth. But remember this. The earth was once considered flat. That was misinformation. When I went to school, I was taught there were boys and there were girls. And now all of a sudden, gender is kind of this fluid construct. So I guess that was misinformation. Okay. The way we were taught about race as kids versus the way race is being taught now, that was misinformation. So what do? We shut down all these schools that I went to over the course of history and say, you know what? Hey, look, your grammar school, well, my grammar school actually shut down and went out of business. Shut down Vince's high school, go to Fordham University, shut down that school. Or do you say, look, as information comes out, what we knew to be true has changed. And information is constantly evolving, like science, like a lot of things. Opinions evolve, people's emotions towards things, and everything changes. So you know what? Maybe it's good to hear all different points of view so that we have a better understanding, because what was once information that we relied upon, weapons of mass destruction, Syria, and Assad bombing his own people, the origins of COVID, bat versus lab, what types of masks work and don't, was the lockdown productive or not, if you get vaccinated, you can't catch coronavirus, if you get vaccinated, you can't pass on coronavirus. You see what I'm saying? Information evolves. So this notion that, you know what, shut down anything that at this moment is misinformation. Well, is it? Or is it just information that hasn't been proven or disproven? Or what is disproven now may be proven to be actual reliable information later. So rather than shut people down, and Jon Stewart did a podcast this week, and I've been saying it all along, so I'm not trying to steal from him, because he didn't steal from me. Isn't it better to sit down and engage these people? Because I guarantee you, Joe Rogan would have Neil Young on. He would have Joni Mitchell on. He would have just about anybody on his podcast and have a discourse, because that's what he's done. He's already had Bernie on his podcast. Okay. He had Sanjay Gupta in studio. How many times will you see Fox, CNN, MSNBC, any of them have somebody on that they truly disagree with a one-on-one? The only guy who really does that is Maher. And again, Mars getting a lot of shade from supporters because, again, he's got this thing right now where he's kind of distancing himself from lockdowns, and people are just shitting on him. And it's like, well, again, basically, everyone's got to agree with your every thought and your every position in order for us to what? Be able to sit in the same room? I don't want to live like that. Okay. I'm going to wrap this up with a couple things entertainment related. Started watching Tom and Pam, or Pam and Tom, whatever it is. It's, Tommy Lee and a Pamela Anderson thing on Hulu. I'm not going to do a critic review of this and that. My only thing is I'm trying to figure out, is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Is it a little bit of both? When I watch a show, my big thing is I want to be invested in the characters. And if I find myself not liking anybody in the show, I stop watching. So that's kind of what happened with me with Game of Thrones. Like in Game of Thrones, I was invested up until season 6. Then by season 7 and season 8, when the writing went to hell, I'm like, well, I don't like anybody. Now I'm not rooting for anyone. Now I have no rooting interest. Screw it. I don't care what happens to any of these characters. That's kind of my feeling right now with Tom and Pam, or Pam and Tom, again, whatever the name of the show is. I'm watching and I'm like, wow, this thing is making me not like either one of these people that much. I'm all right. I guess they deserve whatever they have coming to them. All of them, even the Seth Rogen character guy who's the carpenter who steals the video, the whole bit. So that's my take on it. I'm kind of like weirded out by it. I'm like, all right, I don't know what this is and what I'm supposed to feel. But watch it, and kind of make your own decision about it. Finish Cobra Kai. It's a fun kind of nostalgic thing with Karate Kid. If you're nostalgic to the 80s and you like those movies and you're kind of it's hokey fun. That's all it is. It's harmless hokey fun. It's kind of getting boring. I think next season should be the last one. I think they need to kind of let that one go. Ozark seems to be heading towards a really great dramatic ending. If you like the show Ozark, you're going to love this season. If you haven't watched Ozark, this could be a really good show for you. Definitely jump on Ozark on Netflix. So far, it's been a wild 4th season. And what was the other? Oh, so Book of Boba Fett. I have to tell you, started off really, really slow. Star Wars fans, I don't know how you feel about it. Through the first 3.5 episodes, I was meh. And I'm a Star Wars geek, so it was very meh. Last 2 episodes turned it up a notch, but I'm like, I don't know if it's still Book of Boba Fett. It seems to be book of a lot of shit that was going on at the time. Anyway, so that's my take on things for this past week. As always, throw me some topic ideas. Look, man, these are just thoughts and opinions. If you disagree with me, it's okay. I don't hate you for disagreeing with me. We don't have to hate each other. All right. We've been through a difficult 2 years. I mean, let's engage in a really nice way, because I'm sure there's shit you don't know about me and I don't know about you, and to judge each other and for, because of affiliations. And I'm not affiliated to anybody, but just everyone getting along, being entertained, laughing, going over some topics, and just having an open mind. Hopefully that's the way you guys feel. All right. That's it for this episode. Tune in. I didn't go live again. You'll know why in the beginning, but hey, let's give these a shot. I'm going to try to chop these up too. And so this way it's not that long. Everybody